Okay, so in my last video, I saw some people in the comments expressing their concerns about whether or not I got home safe. And yes, I'm here in my garage. I went to Australia, that happened, it's over with, and I got home before the whole crisis started. Like the day before I left was when the whole toilet paper buying spree exploded. Anyway, I'll shut up, enjoy this video, and we get to see some super sedans race in Australia. Alright, going on a trip this weekend. We're gonna go watch some racing. Our chariot. So this is probably the first touristy thing that I've done, and we're at the 12 Apostles, which are a bunch of rock formations that have been slowly collapsing over the years. So here we are. So at this point, we got to the track, set the camper up, and then I saw something really cool. I saw them do a Calcutta auction for the drivers so that teams could bet on which drivers they're going to win. So that was pretty cool. Never seen that at a dirt track before.
Thank you guys, well done.
So the following day, we got up and checked out some of the attractions in the town. What you're seeing now is a sinkhole that was dressed up to look like a Victorian garden. And this town is actually famous for its blue lakes, which it's like a volcano, kind of like Crater Lake with a deep blue lake in the center. But it was time to get back to the track, because it's time to see some super sedan racing. Checking out some super sedan action. This is going to be the first time I've ever seen super sedans. And we're at Borderline Speedway in Mount Gambier. So let's take this time to answer the question you're all here for. What on earth is a super sedan? Well, let me start off by saying super sedans are badass. They're practically a stock car late model hybrid that you sit on the right side of the car. And in Australia, that's how you sit when you're driving down the street. You would sit on the right side of the car. So the Australians think that if you're going to be racing, you should also be sitting on the right side of the car. So they, came up with the super sedan, which is basically like a badass stock car. The max engine size is 367 cubic inches, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a V8. You can run a V6, or you can run a rotary engine. And these cars have all kinds of ingenuity on them. The rear end is either a 4-link, or it could be a 3-link, or it could be a leaf spring, just like any stock car event. And they practically run sprint car tires. The rear ends have huge stagger, and that's all because the weight is so far to the right of the car, with the driver sitting on the right side. When you're turning left, you want the weight to be on the left side, and to combat how tight it can be, you just add stagger. So these cars are kind of crazy, and I really enjoyed getting to see them. Real quick, before I show you guys the Australian title race, which is the premier event for super sedans that we are going to see this weekend, I'd like to showcase another class of cars, and they're basically stock cars, but you sit on the right side of the car, just like other cars in Australia do, But the most interesting part about this class is when you go on track, you basically get told where you're going at the flip of a coin, and you are either going to go clockwise or counterclockwise. And it makes sense, kind of, because, you know, when you're sitting on the right side of the car, you probably should be turning right instead of left, but also, to keep with tradition, you would be going left. But I guess to mix it up, the fun idea is to add the element of not knowing which way you're going, so you can't set the car up to go one way or the other. And there's even races, I hear, that you can turn around halfway through the race and go the other way. And I guess everybody going into one after they turn around has a tendency to either spin or hit the wall because the tires are so imbalanced after, you know, the heat builds up after going one way. So keep an open mind to that. I think it's funny and actually pretty cool that they do that, and it sounds like a lot of fun. But I'm imagining to a lot of you that kind of sounds crazy. Anyway, now for the Australian title, which is the big race we were there for. Down there, did you see that? Yeah. No, I'm good, but thank you.
Better things to do.
Alright, so that does it for our first time seeing super sedans at the track. This was Mount Gambier, and that's the Super Sedan Australian title. And the Australian title, for those uninitiated, they do state titles and then national titles here. And those are the biggest races for those cars in that class. So this was the national title for the super sedans, so the biggest race. All the heavy hitters came out here, and it was really cool to see these cars. They're kind of like street stocks back home. They're big, and the driver sits on the right, so they have to run really big tires to get the car to turn. So they're kind of like floaty going through the corner, and they look a little bit different, but they're pretty nasty. Those cars are fast, and I mean, I don't think they'll be as fast as the late model, but they're still really cool to watch, and they put on one heck of a show here tonight. So that's gonna be it for the super sedans, and I thought they were really cool. A little aside here, I had the privilege of putting my GoPro on Ash Bergmere's car, and he was such a nice guy. I really enjoyed meeting him and his dad at the track and their crew. Very, very good people, and I really appreciate him allowing me to put my GoPro on his car. I'll include the link to that video in the description of this one, so you can click that to see the whole race from his point of view. Okay, so I decided, since I have all the camera equipment out and such right now, I'd give you guys a preview as to what you can see in the coming weeks. So first, after this video of the Super Sedan racing, I actually got to do another race, and that was at Moama. It was a normal late model racing Victoria race, and it was a thriller. It was a really, really good race, and I really hope you guys can tune in next week to see that one. And then after that, you can see in the foreground here our frame. It's red, it's new, it's a 2017 laser chassis, and I recorded lots and lots of footage so far of us working on this thing over the past week or two, and I will still be recording tons of footage on it after we get back to work on it this weekend. So you will be seeing plenty of footage of us putting this car together from scratch. Right now, as it sits, you can't see it, but we've done some brake lines, we've done some things on it, so you will be seeing all that in the coming weeks. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Stay tuned, subscribe to see these videos coming up, and I'll see you guys next video.